Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to another episode of the Collaboration Culture podcast. My name is Kimberly Winborne, and I am your host. I have an amazing group of beautiful women who you just saw, who are authors, new authors, returning authors, and we're going to have an amazing conversation tonight. And so we invite you to join us as well. Share with us where you're watching from and what you do. I'm sure there are some business owners out there who we could maybe say hello to. We would love to be able to engage you, support your business in some capacity, one way or another. But we would love for you to join the conversation. So, where are you watching from? Are you in Raleigh? Are you in Durham? Are you out of the country? We do have those who watch us out of the country. Or are you just out of this state? Tell us where you are watching from and what it is that you are doing right now, or what it is that you do for a business. And we would love to highlight you and say hello. So tonight we have the collaboration culture second episode, presenting the authors. And so I'm going to bring these beautiful ladies on to introduce themselves. All right. So first up, I would like to ask Shanail Monick to tell us a little bit about who she is and what she does.
All right. My name is Shanail Monick, Shanail Monick, ShanailMonick.com. Let me say it again for the folks that didn't hear me. Shanail Monick, ShanailMonick.com. And I am an entrepreneur. I'm a mother of a 22-year-old. I have a Fight for Lupus organization. I'm a 11-year lupus survivor. And also I'm a author of three books. I have my first book, I'm self-published myself, was a prophesying it, I declare it. Also, I'm a co-author in Affirmations for a Woman on a Mission, and then I have another book that is coming out called 100 Days to Prosperity. Also, I have products. I have my own lip gloss line as well, and on eyelash line. And so I just wanted to come and tell you who I was, Shanail Monick, ShanailMonick.com.
Love it. Love it. I will never forget it. Shanail Monick, ShanailMonick.com. Welcome, Shanail. So glad to have you. And then we'll go right to your right with Kamyra.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here this evening. My name is Kamyra Harding. I wear a couple of different hats. I have what I call a patchwork quilt type of career. I am the content manager for Your Teen Media. Your Teen Media produces Your Teen for Parents magazine, which is now online. We're all over these interwebs and every platform for them. One of the things I do is host a show on Tuesdays called Tuesdays with Kamyra. It is geared towards adults who are raising tweens and teens, and I interview and have conversations with experts or people who have experience in anything that would be of interest to that group. So you should check us out. Go on our Facebook page or YouTube channel, Your Teen Mag, and you will see, or Your Teen for Parents, and you will see all of our videos. We're online live every weekday. But I am also the Try Hard Mommy, and I have a website, tryhardmommy.com. There you'll get more information about me. You'll find links to my different social media platforms. It is a space that I inhabited when I became a mommy. We talk about all things family in a safe environment. It's a lot of fun, a lot of humor about being a parent, being a daughter, being whatever it is that happens in the world these days. I have recently been an author. I have contributed to the Parenting Odyssey, Trials, Treasures, and Triumphs of Parenting in a Pandemic. It's wonderful. I have a chapter in this. I am one of several co-authors. You should pick this up and learn all about what different parents did during the pandemic. And since we're not quite out of it, you may pick up some good tips. I am also the author of a 3-part series, 2 of which have been published. It's the Eavesdropping series. One of my favorite things to do is eavesdrop and imagine stories and what's going on. And so I used to put online, mostly on Facebook, these conversations, some real, some imagined. And people were like, can you compile them? So I have done that. And Thus far, we have the Eavesdropping Family Fun Edition and the Eavesdropping Love and Romance Edition. And the third edition will be out this spring. So hopefully you can go to tryhardmommy.com and find out where to purchase these through Amazon and enjoy them. I'm looking forward to this conversation with you ladies today. Thank you.
So glad to have you. We got some accomplished women here who are doing some inspiring things. I love it. I love it how you took one thing that many people would just kind of, not even pay attention, and took that and made it into a book. And so that's so awesome. You guys who are out here watching or catch the replay, I hope that you're taking some nuggets from this, that even the smallest thing that we think is not valuable potentially sometimes can actually be that project, that vision, that thing that catapults you to your next and also inspires others. So I want everybody to take these nuggets with them and run, and don't sit on that thing that you had an idea about. Don't sit on it. Do it. And so lastly, we have Tiffani Staten, author and storyteller.
Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for having me, Kim. I am so excited to be here with some esteemed women. Yes, go women, winning women. I'm laughing a little bit because I kicked my book down on the floor as I ran to go scramble to get it. So real talk. I am an author and storyteller. I recently wrote a children's book called You're Gonna Like Me, Grumble, Grumble, which follows the story of a character, Ernest, who has a journey towards self-acceptance. And so You're Gonna Like Me, Grumble, Grumble. I'm also creating a play out of the book, as well as I have some other projects in the works, and I'm so excited to be here. Quick and easy.
Awesome. Well, I got up, I said, let me, while she's on solo layout, let me get this book because I have my copy so I can share. Yes, you're going to like me, grumble, grumble. So she's a new author. I'm excited to have her on the show. I don't know, you've done a few podcasts now, right? Or a few interviews.
Just a few.
Just a few. Yeah, and that's a really fun part of the process, and hopefully you'll get more and more. So for those who are out there watching and you need some people to inspire others, especially women, on your podcast, reach out to these ladies. You see their information. I put it up there so they'd be easy to reach. You see it scrolling across the screen. So now we have Tiffani up, we had Shanail up a moment ago, and we had Kamyra up as well, and you'll see that throughout the show. So welcome to all of you ladies. So tonight we present, as you've been hearing them say over and over and over again, the Winning Women series with the authors. So I'm going to ask one more time if you would share, love, because I'm over I love everything, and tag someone to join us this evening. If you happen to catch the replay, I also would like for you, we had somebody named DJ to come on and say, good evening, ladies. Hi, Tiffani. I live in Maryland. He said, I work at NIH, but my part-time business is photography. So for those of you who joined, please share where you're watching from, who you are, and if you have a business, what that business is. This is a great opportunity for us to collaborate right here, to create connection and network right here. Okay, so if you guys know a little bit about me, and Ryan Ray says, ladies, I assume that's a hello. So, sir, all right. So if you guys know a little bit about me, I am also an author. Last year, I became an author of The Debt Detox. So here's my book here, The Debt Detox. So the thing about all of us, all of these ladies, all of us here at the table this evening is that we all have a different story. Even though we have a lot of similarities, we all have a different story in our journey to authoring these books or various books. And so tonight we're going to share a little bit of that journey. And I want to start, if we can, with Tiffani, because yours is the newest book, by sharing what that journey was to writing that book. And did you run into any obstacles within yourself along the way? And how did you overcome that? So two-part question. What's the journey? And did you run into any obstacles? How did you overcome that?
It's been quite a journey. I actually wrote this book while I was recovering from breast cancer in 2020. And for me, I've always loved to read. I've always been creative, lived in my head. Every day I'm creating stories about people I see on the street, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And growing up, I was the only Black child in school, in my class for most of my childhood. And I never really felt like I fit in. And so the concept for the book came from little Tiffani, trying to fit in, standing out, but not fitting in. And so from that, it just kind of poured out of me. It was very God ordained. Like when I create, that's when I tap in with the creator. So it was very spiritual for me. And so once I finished writing it, I didn't really plan on publishing it. Really, I just wrote it as catharsis. And then once I decided to go ahead and publish it, I just did the research and I self-published it. I didn't really want to go with a publisher. And from there, I just started interviewing people to illustrate the book, asking questions with people who have already published the book. A shout out to my stepmom. She's published several books already. And so I just went to her for information and collaboration. And so not being afraid to say, I don't know, and ask those questions so I can move forward.
Yeah, and I want to interject. You said that you went to your mother who had done it before. So the value of mentorship. I think a lot of times people try to do so much themselves because they're concerned about whether there are mentors out here and if they're going to have to pay an arm and a leg for them. But going right within our own circles, sometimes we never know. I know there's a lot of stuff I don't even know about my mom that I discover every day, or even someone in your church, someone in your community, someone in your network that is looking for somebody to like just hold their hand to guide them through the process. And so that's the value of community. I want to highlight, I know she's your mom, but just the value of community and us being vulnerable and opening ourselves up to receive the abundance that's available to us by just saying, hey, will you help me? I want to try. Will you help me? So I just want to put a nugget right there, a pin right there to just highlight mentorship and also generational passing down of gifts and skills and all of that, and how significant it is as women for us to do that. Like, it's so significant. We got to get paid, obviously. But what if we just take one person a month to say, hey, I'm going to pour into this woman? How would that then begin to create a process for her to achieve? So I'm off on my little tangent a little bit. You triggered something when you said that about your mom. So I love your story. And that was a big obstacle, Tiffani, overcoming, writing this through your breast cancer battle. And I'm so glad to know that you're winning, or you won the battle and you're in remission. And yes, and then also having people beside you to help you along the way. So same question to you, Kamyra. What was the journey, and then any obstacles? How did you overcome those?
So my journey to being published began with this book, which is the ultimate collaboration. You see 15 authors. It's more than an anthology. It really is a community, right? We started a community together. We support each other. I've interviewed a few of these people on my show. We do other projects together. We started almost a cohort together, a writing cohort. And before I got involved and was chosen for this project, which this was published in December of 21, I had a lot of projects in various stages of unfinished. And these eavesdropping books are an example of those. So I said, okay, this is going to kickstart me. I'm going to finish these projects, because every year I'm finishing these projects, and every year I get a little closer on one of them. And it's usually not the one that I was closer on the year before, right?
Right.
And so I said, okay, what I'm going to do, because I'm not going to set myself up for failure, I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity, and I'm going to pick the easiest one, the easiest project that is closest to finish and will be the easiest to finish. And that was these eavesdropping books. And so that's how I picked that. Because a lot of times we get too busy, or we set our goals so large and that it's impossible. We set ourselves up for failure. So I decided
Absolutely.
to take little bitty chunks.
Yeah, like the saying goes, how do you eat an elephant?
Yes.
One bite at a time, and it's something
Yes.
that I use often because so many things are so big. Like writing a book is big, and it doesn't seem like it these days. Depending on your network, it can seem like everybody's writing a book, but that's not true. For those who are not around people that are doing it, it could seem like such a big task. And even those who are within, it's like sometimes we're looking at the next person, that imposter syndrome, in order to value ourselves. And so it's a big task. And so I love that what you just said, just one bite, one step at a time. And then now you have three.
Now I have those three, and I am excited in working on some media projects. I have a book of essays that I'm working on, which will be the next project after we get the third edition of the eavesdropping series out. So, set yourself up for success. What is it going to take for you to succeed? What do you need to see yourself doing so that you'll stay on track?
Yeah, that's good. Map it out. Map it out. So, Shanail, I still have Shanail. What was your process? What was the journey for you? And, how did you overcome any obstacles in order to succeed?
Oh, the journey for me. Well, I have another book, first book when I'm a co-author in. It's called Smile,
Yeah.
Single Moms Inspiring and Leading and Empowering.
Mm-hmm.
And it took a lot to write that book. But the thing is, being a mother at 16, I had a journey of going through things that people would tell me that I wouldn't do. And
Mm-hmm.
so as people saying, you won't never do this, you won't never do that, it inspired me to, you know what, let me write a book about, and telling other women about, look, this is what I had to go through. This, you can get through it. And then just by me having that story, because I don't regret anything that happened, but I do take it, like you said, and use it as a stepping stone to the next level. Now,
Yeah.
me publishing my first book, it was I myself publishing it. It was like I had that book in my belly for 5 years. I had been
Mm-hmm.
holding on to it. I had people wanted to give me publishing deals, but it wasn't. The spirit told me, no, don't do it with them, because you're going to end up. They're going to own your story. They're going to own your stuff. And then I was like, I ain't no, but I don't like people owning my stuff. I want to have my own rights to my stuff. And that's the one thing about me. I try to research everything. You give me something, I'm looking it up. I don't. I'm a big researcher. I'm a big reviewer. I read the reviews, and so me just finding the right deal, then moving to Virginia, and then being diagnosed with lupus.
Yeah.
Being diagnosed with lupus, I have to continually tell myself affirmations daily, because I go through things that others wouldn't even think of, with the mind, with my body. And if I don't speak positive to myself, then my body takes over and it tells me what to think. And so
Yeah.
when I prophesied, declared it, I just kept prophesying over myself. I'm well, I'm healed, I should live and not die. Even the doctor's giving me 50-50 chances to live. Every time I turn around, they're telling me, oh, we don't expect you to live. We don't expect you to come up out of this. You might not make it. And so I kept telling myself, look, you can do this. But I wanted to put it down in writing so I can encourage somebody else, because of what I went through, how I got through it, and
Yeah.
how it's still getting me through. So
Yeah.
and that's the journey that I had to take. And even in the hospital bed, I would write down some affirmations to put in the book, or some things to prophesy. I declare it. I rebuke any generational curse and all of these things, so that it end up turning into my book.
I love that. You took your story, the ups and downs, and how you were getting through, and now you're inspiring so many others. And the power of your words, the power of your mind, and what you think and what you expose yourself to, especially in situations when you're going through. It's so like important to understand and know. So I love that you created that into a book, and now you can share that with others, that if you declare something, what you speak, what you think, what you hear, what you watch is essential, especially as you're going through something, and how to overcome that. All right. And so excuse me, y'all, let's talk a little bit about collaboration and how that has worked for you. or against you. I'm going to say it's worked for you, but maybe there are challenges along the way sometimes. But let's talk a little bit about the culture of collaboration and how that has worked for you. I want to really hone in on financially. Have you been in a situation where, as a result of collaboration coming together with others, you've been able to win and be successful in a way that enhance your finances and also help you to save? Does anybody have a story that they can share? We'll start with Kamyra.
I was doing some really hard thinking there. I don't know if you guys saw the smoke coming out of my ears. And I'm like, let's see. I'm trying to think of financially where I came out ahead in the collaboration. I'm big on collaborations. I think if you have information, if you have resources, you share it, and it will multiply. It's not going to deplete from your account, right? It's going to multiply. It's like love for your children. It's never ending. So I really believe strongly in collaboration. I think that I have had a couple of business ventures with other people. When the collaboration was good, then the business was profitable, right? When everybody came to the table with their authentic selves and knew their strengths, were willing to contribute their strengths, but also were willing to hear from others, because I'm involved in 2 projects right now this week, and they're very similar, but completely different groups of people. And in one group, there's somebody who really isn't much of a collaborator. So she, every time you make a suggestion, it's an insult, any kind of change is an insult to her. And in the other group, everybody comes to the table and the goal is to finish the project.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful because the best marketing idea came from a tech person. And the marketing person didn't say, no, that's my lane, you can't. We all said, yeah, that's good, let's go with that. I write. That they edited my writing, they made it better. I didn't get upset about it. And that project is so much better than the other. And they're very, very similar projects. And that project will yield more. I know it will.
So culturally, do you think that you said this was a female? This was another female. Yes. So do you think that females are often in competition, or you think this person just doesn't know how to work with others and there's a personal development issue?
It's interesting you said that, because they were both groups of women.
Okay.
They were both groups of women, and they were both groups of very high-powered, highly skilled women who were good at what they did. And I think it's just that this particular woman is not good at collaborating, and her profession is one where she doesn't interact with as many people.
Yeah.
And I think that she hasn't honed the skill. It's a skill, right?
Yeah, it is a skill. And the reason I asked about women versus personal development is because there's that old saying that women can't work together. But you just showed us there was a group of women, all women, that were working together well, and then there was this other group that was also women, but you just had this one person who didn't have that. And so what happens is, I think we remember that one person in our experiences oftentimes, and we don't work with people. And so for me, and for this show, and everything that I talk about, is how can we work together in order to grow our businesses, in order to grow our finances, especially finances, because you guys know I'm a certified financial education instructor and also a coach, mentor. And for me, if people can have the life that they want and live out the dreams and all of that stuff, it starts with a path to do that. And it starts with a mindset to do that. And if we don't have that mindset, that's why, unfortunately, our community, the African American community, but so many other communities, are downtrodden a lot longer than necessary, when we can create a culture that thrives if we work together. And so I want to ask Shanail next. What is something, when it comes to working with other women, that you can say has been a positive, something that you've been able to grasp from another sister or another woman in general, that has really helped you in your business and helped you in fighting for lupus or as an author?
Well, I love collaborating. And like you said, it has to be a mindset.
Yeah.
Because it does some women are not, you have to know who you can work with and who you can't.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to collaborate with everybody. We want to, love on everybody, but everybody is not at that level that you're at. So sometimes you got to understand that, and then you just got to come back around to them when they have grown and they have, like you said, mature, spiritually mature, developed, and understand the benefit of collaboration. I've collaborated with so many amazing women, and how I collaborated with some women, they have put me up on platforms. They have me speaking and paid me to go speak at their events. They have also got me promoted in other organizations where I was volunteering for at first, and now I'm on getting a paycheck for it. And
Mm-hmm.
so those are the type of collaborations that I have with women, and those women that are not afraid for you to, look, if they can't do it, they offer your name up for this opportunity, or they edify you and uplift you and say, look, this is my sister Shanail. Let me refer you to her. She has this, and this going on. They don't bring you down and say, oh, nah, she ain't gonna be good for it.
Yeah.
They give the person the opportunity to look at your gifts and your talents and then make that decision. And that's what I love about, collaborating with women that are ready. That they
Yeah.
see, look, you on fire. All you can do is light my fire. You can't dim my fire. I'm gonna just tell you that now. And if I'm going
Absolutely.
up, I'm taking you with me. You take a sister with you. You don't just go and like by yourself, and that's what I tell people. I said it's enough room for all of us at the top. They talking about it's lonely at the top, but you ain't taking enough sisters with you. Then the ones that want to go, the ones
Yeah.
that you see working hard, the ones that you see out here trying to make it. See some of the underdogs, some of the people that don't even get the recognition, but they're doing the hard work out here, and it's only because they don't have the exposure yet. I say yet
Yeah.
because yet because there's a
Yeah.
time in a season and it will come. But
Yeah.
I've had those kinds of collaborations, and I'm gonna tell you, those are the best collaborations because it gives you hope. Look, it's women out here just like me. I'm not gonna say that we crabs in a bucket. I'm not gonna say put it out there in the atmosphere that we can't work together. No, it's the right women that can work together. The women
Absolutely.
that have to see us doing it first, and we set an example for them, and we walk this thing out, and then they'll follow.
Yes.
They'll stop being catty and picky and messy. They'll stop that when it ain't nobody to do it with. But
Right.
don't they got somebody to continue to do it with, they're gonna continue to do that little clicky, crewy thing, and it'll break up the collaboration. But when they see us all working together, coming together, uniting as one, and knowing there's power in agreement and togetherness, I'm gonna just tell you that now. We powerful in numbers, and once
Absolutely.
we get together as one in numbers, you know how much that money would come back into our communities, into our businesses, and we'll see more of us become billionaires faster.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's leads me to my next thought question. I'll shoot that over to Tiffani. So we are winning women. You all are winning women. You're out here doing some amazing things. A couple of you have collaborated with folks to produce your book, whether it's an illustration or it's actually other authors or whatever it is. And so we don't want to leave out the men. So we know that men are a big component of our lives, whether somebody's helping to bring us along, somebody is our spouse, whatever it is, we know that they're a big component, a big part of our success as well. So not saying they aren't. But one of the things I want to ask, have you ever felt or been in a situation where you felt like you lost your voice, even though you're this powerful, successful woman, where you felt like at the boardroom table or wherever it is that you lost your voice because you were at the table with other men? Do you think that women are able to continue to keep our power and keep our voice and continue winning when we're at the table with men? And so I'll shoot that to you, Tiffani.
It's interesting that you asked me this. I work in the tech space, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a predominantly Caucasian male, cisgender male environment. And they were doing a presentation, and I was like, okay, so are there any women that are going to present? And finally, near the end, someone did present, a woman did present. But I think about that often because for me, I'm the only Black woman in the space.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first started in that position, I was coming from a different department and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say much. I shrunk back. I was quiet. If I didn't understand anything, something, I wouldn't ask it in the meeting because I didn't want to look like I was stupid or whatever.
Yeah.
But once I realized, hey, we're all just trying to get through this, ask the question, speak up in meetings, lead the meetings when you're supposed to lead them, it just opened up my world. I'm not going to be ashamed, afraid, intimidated just because I'm a woman and a Black woman at that. And
Yes.
so that's what I carry on now.
Yeah. Yeah. Keeping your voice. And I think that's a tool that we can use in the books. It's a tool that authors can use to share your voice. One of the ways I know that many of you probably started writing is journaling. Journaling things down, even if it was Facebook posts or whatever that post or whatever it was. I know people who have written books off of posting, off of their posts, and so that is a big component of our success, journaling, writing those things down. And so when you're at the when you're at the boardroom, the table, whatever it is with men, sometimes, Tiffani, to your point, it can be so intimidating, especially back to your point, you're the only Black woman and you're like, where are the others? But when you raised your hand and said, I have a voice, figuratively raised your hand, then it made a difference in the path that you took. And I wonder, as Black women or as women in general, are we demoting ourselves or putting ourselves in position for way too long, and now starting to realize that we have power and have a voice? Because you guys know that we are the number one demographic that is starting new businesses. So I'm going to go to you, Kamyra, on that. You have children who you can leave a legacy of inspiration to as well. And you mentioned you have a son. And so to this conversation of women starting and owning new businesses, women having and declaring our voice, what is your comment to that? And you work with teens. You work yeah, so you're the perfect person to discuss this.
So thank you. I have 5 sons, so I don't want anyone to feel left out. we hear about the youngest because the older ones are off doing their things. Yeah. But what I always go back to is something that a man told me, my father, is that you need to, today we say do what you love, and you can monetize it or you can manifest it into something. But it really is true that your passion should be how you spend your time. It doesn't necessarily have to be how you earn your income. Sometimes, like those of us up here, we have other jobs. So we pay our bills with another job, but we have our passion. We're talking about our passion right now. And if you are consistent with your passion, it can also become your income provider. So don't deny yourself. Too many times people go into a certain field or something because it yields a high income and they're unhappy. And life, our life is full circle. The income and the passion and the family and friends, all of that's important. They are all equally important. So make sure that you're hitting all those notes. If you're hitting all those notes, you will find that the income comes. You have to work at it. You have to work very hard at it. You have to be willing to humble yourself and ask for help. You have to be willing to admit to mistakes and pivot and change directions. But as long as you're open, it will come. It may not come when you think it's supposed to come, and it may not come. It may not be the size that you want it to be on the date that you want it to be that size, but it will come, and you should keep at it.
Yeah. Shanail, did you want to add anything to that?
You asked about being in the room with men.
Yeah.
I think that what Tiffani said is wonderful. And I think that what younger women are doing these days is even better than what women of my generation were groomed to do. A lot of the younger women were like, you know what, if you make this boardroom too uncomfortable for me, then I don't need to be here. I'm going to be fabulous outside of the boardroom. I reject your definition of success and I have my own.
Yeah. that lends to that conversation about the great resignation. It's kind of like a buzz phrase going around that some people are leaving, especially women, those sort of positions where they feel like they're not valued, don't have a voice, and they're like, I don't have to. I don't have to stay here. I want to thrive. And so that's a great point, Kamyra. Shanail, were you going to add to that?
Yeah, I have that impression. I guess being get intimidated because at my current position, I was the top performer, top seller, the one that came in as always getting highlighted, and that sometimes intimidates men because they want to dominate. They want to be the one that's highlighted. They wanted to be the one that's always talked about, and it wasn't my choice. It was something that was that they did on their own. If they don't got to recognize me, but I feel like us women, we definitely got to walk in confident and be, and understand that we made our place at the table. Listen, if the person is intimidated, a person don't feel like that we need to be there, then that's their business. Because I'm going to continue to strive and thrive at what I'm good at and listen, and I'm going to be confident at it because I didn't get this gift for no reason, and so
Yeah.
and sometimes they want you to feel you downplay yourself, dull yourself down to fit in their culture. Because most people, like when I first moved to Virginia, oh, you don't fit in our culture with the company. I was like, well, that's not the company I'm supposed to be at if I don't fit in your culture. I'm
Yeah.
supposed to dull down who I am. I thought that you look too flamboyant, you dress up too much, you do your hair, your makeup. I'm like, is that how I'm supposed to look? What am I supposed to look like? And
Yeah.
so as you continue to and be more confident in that, listen, this is where I'm supposed to be, or I'm gonna, like she said, move to another place. That God is gonna move me to another place where that open door is, where I'm supposed to shine and thrive, where I'm gonna make the money, where I'm gonna be, who I can be, who I am, authentically me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I do say continue to be confident, women, even if we walk in a room and they looking and they taking control. God will move them out the way. I done seen God move people out my way. So if they have something against me, he'll move them out. They won't be at the company no longer if I'm supposed to be there. So
Yep.
I just tell I believe it. I say it all the time in my affirmations. God move them out. God will move them out the way because
Yeah.
that's what's for you is for you, and
Yeah.
He's not going to let anybody stop what's for you.
Yeah.
So
I love that you brought up confidence throughout that. And that's something that oftentimes we don't see in some of these young ladies throughout generations, not just this younger generation, but even later generations. Is something about being told to be in your place, being told that you don't, you're too, like you just said, you got too much makeup, your hair is too perfect, you too flashy for this. Like, I don't know what that is where people want to continue to put women in their place in that way. And so I love that you're talking about confidence. And so this leads me to back to the all of you really, but definitely Tiffani and Kamyra, because you all have children's books. And I believe, Tiffani, your book is for ages 5 to 8, very impressionable. I remember when Sophie was around that age, she had a teacher, she was 8, third grade, who was just not the best. I'm just going to say that. And Sophie was always so confident. And this teacher, it's like she turned my daughter into this different little girl. And so I had to recultivate her, like work with her again, get her in other programs to help me to rebuild her because she just stripped her. And so the thing about your children's books, and I see the little sign in the back, eavesdropping, family fun. And so let's talk about the power of a book and how it can change the trajectory of a young person's life, the power of association, and how that can map out. That could be that book or that thing, that teacher. Sometimes it's teachers that really change a kid's life. So, can you speak, ladies, to that? We'll start with you, Tiffani. What is that for you? Like, are you aware of how powerful your book could be for a young person?
I actually am, and that's why I'm so proud of it. For me as a child, I can relate to your daughter. I can remember in first grade, my teacher wouldn't let me go to the bathroom. I was young. I was the youngest student in that class, and she would not let me go to the bathroom whenever I would ask. And so I would soil myself. They'd send me to the nurse's office, give me somebody else's raggedy clothes, and then send me home. And after a couple of times of this, my mom was like, what's going on? Like, whose clothes are these? What is happening? And I finally told her that the teacher wouldn't let me go to the bathroom. And so my mom's 4'11", a little Black woman from Detroit. She goes up there to the school, and I don't know what she said, but I know that I was able to go to the bathroom. But there were these other microaggressions that the teacher would do. Like, I'm right-handed. She would give me left-handed scissors. She would give me the worst abacus. And yes, I'm telling my age. We had abacuses when I was in first grade. And that does something to you. But my way of escaping was always to read. And I would just devour any book that my mom put in front of me. I was reading probably when I was 3 or something like that. But I didn't really see myself. Now we have more books where there's more African-American characters or female heroines or all of this. And so when I wrote You're Gonna Like Me, Grumble, Grumble, and how the character has to decide whether he's going to change himself to fit in to this new world that he's living in, or just accept himself for who he is and how he looks. And that just resonates. I have adults coming to me saying, you know what? Oh my gosh, I wish I had this as when I was a kid. And, this is something for me now as an adult. And even for me, I have to remind myself there's something that the father says in the book that every once in a while, when I'm feeling a little, I'll think about what he says to give myself that boost. And that's the kind of stories that I want to give to children, young adults, and even adults.
Yeah. And I just want to highlight really quickly, if you guys see her website scrolling across here, go ahead and go there and get that book, because that really resonates with me, that story of empowering or being empowered as a result of a book. Especially these days when kids are more involved in electronics and things like that, to understand that a book is so powerful in boosting their confidence and giving them a place that they feel safe. And so I love that. So Kamyra, if you can answer that as well.
Sure. I wanted to tell Tiffani, thank you for writing that book because it's needed. So thank you very much for doing that. All 4 of us have been on either or both sides of the stories that have told, right? We've either been that child or we've been that parent advocating for the child. And like in Tiffany's story, and I've had to do this for a son, you deal with the child and you boost the child the same way that Kimberly did with her daughter, but then you also do what Tiffany's mom did is you go to battle for your child, right? And they remember what Tiffani remembers. She doesn't know what was said. She remembers that her mom did that for her. And that's what gives you the confidence that somebody loves you enough that they did that for you, whatever that is. And that's what every child needs. Books like yours are wonderful because I remember a time when people didn't look like me in books and on TV, and it makes a difference. And my parents, they tried really hard. They went all over the place, and they went to underground. We went to underground bookstores. I don't know why there are underground bookstores, but there were underground bookstores where you could get Black comics and things like that. And now I could just get them on Amazon, right? I can get good ones. I can get bad ones. I just have to be willing to pay for them. And that is wonderful. You can now micro search. I have one son who's a classical musician, another who's a basketball player. So I can get books about basketball, but also find books about, young Black and brown kids who play instruments and everything in between. And it is so important for anybody to be able to see their story as well as other stories so that they can learn about the world or just learn about creativity and read sci-fi, but know that in sci-fi, Asian children can be ones fighting the battle and Black children can be ones who are the president and all these other things, that the world can look any way that you want it to look. And books do that. In my book, Family Fun, the fun thing about that is that I was putting up conversations. It's just books of vignettes of conversations that happen within families, and people loved it because people
Yeah.
could see themselves or remember, or they just imagine like, oh yeah, I remember when a 9-year-old said that to me, or it's important for people. Literature is important, and
Yeah.
imagery, whether it's on TV, on screen, or in books, it's critical.
Yeah, it helps us to relate. And I
Mhm.
believe someone said that books help them to escape too and feel safe. But it also helps us to relate because sometimes reading a book, something like prophesying to yourself or the Grumble Grumble book or even the eavesdropping, all of these books help us to relate one to another. So for that person that feels so alone and like nobody can understand what you're going through, or nobody else is going through this, you read that book and you realize, you know what? Wow, somebody else did go through this and this is how they overcame it. This is a great option for me to choose and in order to overcome this. So that's one of the reasons I love books. I've been a reader since I was 3 years old. I was always in the library. I was that kid that would take a bath. Yes, I would take a bath as a little kid with my book. And as I got older, I did the same thing. And to these days, I get so busy that I don't really have that time. But for me, it was a retreat. It's always been a retreat to just pick up a book. And you can also, I love novels because you can create the setting. Like you can use your imagination. They give you the scope, but then you use your imagination as to what the person looks like or what, all of those different things. And so I love that. And one of the things that I was saying earlier, and I want to repeat again, I put it in the comments. There's somebody out there right now that has a book in them that has been sitting on it, that's been saying nobody wants to read that. There's 20,000 of these or what have you. But somebody is, as Marianne Williamson's poem says, somebody is waiting for you to shine so that it'll give them permission to do the same. And that's what I think happens with you ladies. You ladies have taken up the mantle to sort of shine, even though that is it was your own journey, whatever it is, that it could have been a release, whatever it was for you, but now somebody else feels like they have permission to do the same. So somebody says one of the favorite places. Are you talking about the bathtub? So I want to ask those who are in the audience, do you have a book in you that you have convinced yourself that no one will want to read? Stop. Write that book. Write that book. Even if you orate it, use an app. I tell people all the time, get that OtterBox app. Write that book. Begin to journal. So that's my little encouraging moment. I think we all we all can agree to that. And so I want to ask you ladies before we wrap up, is there a woman in your life that really stands out? It could be as far as inspiring you to write that book. It could be in another way that gave you the confidence that you have today, that attributed to your success, that you would like to highlight before we close out. And we're not necessarily closing out at this very minute, but I do want to give you time in case somebody gets a little passionate and and long-winded. I don't want to interrupt. So let's start with you, Shanail. Oh, you're muted.
I'm always muted.
Okay,
So
I unmuted you. There you go.
well, I have a couple of different women that have inspired me, that uplift me, that encourage me, and that's the thing about having women in your life that see your greatness, that push you to your greatness, and that was my thing is growing up I was never pushed, or never anybody never told me I done well, or you're doing an amazing job, let me refer you to do this and that, but nobody ever did that. But now that I have got older, and some people see the gifts and your talents, and they want to push you. And so I have a woman named Pastor Phyllis. I just had her on my Woman Worship Wednesday. Pastor
Okay.
Phyllis Bradley. And she's such an amazing woman. She came into my life, and when she came into my life I had lost my job, and I went to volunteer volunteer one morning at the homeless shelter because I had just lost my job, and me and my daughter didn't have any Christmas money to buy gifts. And this lady had me speak on her event coming up, the 26th. She has me on in a different organizations, getting paid in different organizations, promoted in organizations, and that's such an inspiration to me, because she don't have to do that. She don't have to mention my name in a room full of people. And so, and then also I have another one, which is called Prophetess Patricia Lee, and she's one amazing woman, because she got me out there. She actually got me to preaching, and so I didn't want to do it, and she pushed me. I can do it all day on Facebook, but she pushed me to actually preach in front of people. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. This ain't my part. I could do Facebook all day, but and so she pushes me, and I study, and I'm in my word, and I'm doing I'm doing services, and and she pushes me so much, and I love it. And so I have those two ladies, and also my mom. My mom is an inspiration to me, because let me just tell you, she just looks at me and says, just shakes her head and says, "That's just you Shanail." I said, well, "You named me Shanail. What do you think? What did you expect?"
That's the truth. That's a name.
Like,
I love it.
Somebody that name and then expect them to be normal. Like,
absolutely,
not be normal with Shanail.
Snap. Yeah. Okay, Mom. So I want to thank those ladies that you mentioned on behalf of all of us who get inspiration from you. I want to thank them on behalf of us. And so shout out to all of those ladies. Tiffany, let's go to you next.
Oh, one more. I got Miss Mom. She on here, Mom Marvette Jones Jackson. She on here supporting me. She said, daughter, she has been one of my close friends. And let me just tell you, we ain't even ever met. And so with that, I'm gonna tell you, that's how we always on the phone. We always encouraging, uplifting. She's always wanting me to, read scriptures and convey scriptures on her show as well. So I love you, Marvette. I had to shout you out because you on here tonight too as well. Yeah. Inspiration.
Oh, she was talking about one of her favorite places was the library. Yes, Miss Marvette. Well, let's go hang out. Okay, we're gonna meet. We're gonna finally meet Shanail in person and go hang out at the library. Yes. All right, so Tiffany.
Well, I'm gonna go to the library with y'all because that's one of my favorite places too. But I'll try to be quick. Several people, but I will narrow it down. My stepmom, of course, who I mentioned earlier, Kay Oliver. She's been a blessing in my life. Met her when I was an adult after my mom had passed away. My dad remarried a few years later. And she has just been a constant. She has shown me what a boss looks like. This woman is, I just love her to death. And then she always gives me great inspiration, great ideas. She speaks the truth. And I just love her for that, as well as my dear friend Shrika Clark. This woman, you always should have that sister, that friend who no holds bars, tells you what you don't want to hear sometimes, but tells you the truth and loves you and just really only wants to see the best for you. So I want to shout her out as well. And then lastly, Pastor Kimberly Bass Knight, another Kim. Yes. She's another boss lady, business owner, just always thinks about the Christian marketplace and how she can affect change in the community within the business world. So I want to shout her out as well as being a model in my life.
Absolutely. I thank you to all of those ladies who have made a difference in Tiffany's life. I love her. I love me some Tiffani Staten. And it is as a result of you, I'm sure, that I have had the opportunity to meet her somewhere along the way. I've had the opportunity to meet her and grow with her. And so I shout out to you for her. Shout out to the ladies for Shanail, who, I got to be on her show. Was it last year that I was on your platform? Yeah, last year, I think it was. And that was fun. And so just so much synergy here. So I just want to pause for a second before we go to Kamyra and just say this. I want to thank you ladies for joining me, for saying yes, because you're busy, you are productive, you have things that you have going on. And so I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for allowing me to highlight you as winning women. I see you. We may not talk all the time, but I see you. And I was like, these are women that I want to shine a light on. So I don't want to forget that. It just popped in my head, and you know how things happen. You forget it, and then later you're like, dog, I meant to say this. So I wanted to say that. So as you all are watching, be sure to write their names down. Go get Shanail's books. Go get Tiffany's books. And now we're going over to Kamyra, because you got to get her book too. But let's hear who she wishes to highlight as women or woman in her life who has made a difference.
Okay, so one thing you will learn about me is I am horrible with superlatives and lists. So I really am. But I have a lot of women in my life for different parts of your life. You have different seasons, different phases, different roles, right? Yeah. So I have mommy mentors and professional mentors and things like that. And they know who they are, and they're so precious to me. But they have things in common, right? I call them superhero goddesses.
Okay.
They're all superhero goddesses. They are their authentic selves. They are comfortable with themselves. And when you're comfortable with yourself, other people will be comfortable with you. They will like you. They will want to be like you and be around you. They share their resources. They aren't afraid to humble themselves in somebody's presence. They go out of their way to do good, however that is defined for them. And it doesn't have to be that they are saving the world. Doing good could be just combing that kid's hair every morning who comes by your stoop on the way to school, whose hair never looks right because you know there's an issue in the home. So, that woman, that superhero goddess, does that. Or doing good could be leading a nonprofit organization and everything in between. And I salute all those superhero goddesses.
Yeah, I love that, superhero goddesses. And you just mentioned something that a lot of times today is not an everyday thing. Just grabbing that little girl and saying, let me do her hair. Let me take her to the salon, or my mom was doing those things all of the time growing up. And so, these days, I think people are a little concerned about jumping in people's business, right? Getting in their business. There's a backlash, but we do have to still get in people's business. We don't have to be rude. We can be loving. We learn how to be loving and say what we need to say. But I love that you said that. That's that thing of, you never know what somebody's going through. I saw a post about a pencil, like a teacher getting on a student for not having a pencil. And what is that student going through to even get to school sometimes? And the teacher is harping on them about a pencil. What if that teacher or each and every one of us just has the mindset to say, what is really happening here, and how can I support you instead of coming down with the whip or what have you. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And to all you superhero goddesses who she shouted out, then we want to say thank you. We praise and celebrate you. We highlight you this evening. There are so many other winning women out here who will not be on the platform tonight, who will not be on the platform in this month, but who to someone else and even to me are a winning woman. So I've been doing this 3 or 4 years. So I've highlighted a lot of women. So, but there's so much more to go. To your point, Kamyra, there's so much more to go. So thank you to you all. So it is so inspiring to see you ladies carrying out your work with such brilliance. Your efforts will go a long way in helping others. Thank you, James. So appreciate that so much. Well, we got a man in the audience. Okay. All right. One of the things I want to go back to before we close out, because this is what this was all about. DJ said, Kimberly, you're in my head. I started writing a couple of books 15 years ago. So they are in draft status. Thanks, ladies, for your encouragement. And what better way to close out the show, the podcast, this episode, than with that thought? Each of us can say kudos to yourself. You can pat yourself on the back for being an inspiration to at least one person and hopefully more. So for those of you who catch the replay, be sure to follow these ladies. So Kamyra's information is scrolling across the bottom here. Shanail's information is scrolling across now. And then Tiffani's information is also scrolling across. And you can go back and throughout the entire show, get that information. They're pretty easy to find. And go to their websites. I mentioned Tiffani's earlier. Go to tryhardmommy.com and get Kamyra's books, not just one, but books. And also go to ShanailMonick.com to get her books. Such inspiring women. I'm so excited to have had you today. For anyone who is interested in being on the show as a guest or getting advertising, being a sponsor of any of the shows, please reach out to info@coffeeandcollaborations.com. You can easily access at coffeeandcollaborations.com if that's too much to remember. And then also follow us on YouTube. You can subscribe to our channel. And then also on Facebook and Instagram. We're also on Twitter. Don't spend a lot of time there, but we're there. So if you want to reach us there, we'll get that information as well. We'll be able to respond to you as well. So I'm excited. This has been an amazing show, our Winning Women series with the authors. Yes, a round of applause to you ladies. Thank you for joining, and thank you for tuning in to everyone who stayed with us this evening. You all have an amazing rest of your evening. Be sure to love on and hug on the women in your life, especially as we highlight Women's History Month. But every day, shine a light on a woman and love on a woman that has made a difference in your life. Y'all have a great night. See you next time.